Picture this. You're driving down a busy road, maybe 24 kilometers into your daily commute, and suddenly, the world just goes completely black. You wake up totally dazed, and the only reason you're even awake is because the motorist behind you is absolutely blaring their horn. Now, this isn't some intense scene from a movie. This actually happened to Averell. He's a 44-year-old marketing executive who literally fell asleep at the wheel after forcing himself to stay awake for 38 hours straight following a flight from New York to Delhi. He had to pull over, take a 2-hour nap in his car, and barely made it home. Averell's terrifying story perfectly illustrates a massive, modern epidemic that we are all facing right now: complete and total exhaustion. So welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive into a really fascinating, multifaceted journey into human health together. We'll be looking at how we treat our bodies, how our bodies respond, and how everything from our modern, always-on work culture to ancient botany plays a huge role in our overall wellness. Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the sleep deprivation epidemic, laughter as medicine, the extremes of diet, sports and adversity, and finally, nature's pharmacy. Let's get right into it. Part 1. The sleep deprivation epidemic. Let's dive straight into this first pillar. Just how widespread is our lack of sleep? Well, the sheer scale is honestly alarming. A recent survey revealed that a massive 61% of Indians are sleeping 7 hours or less every single night. And to compound the issue, 64% of them are getting out of bed before 7 a.m. We've become this society of early risers, right? But we definitely aren't following the early to bed part of that equation. We are accumulating what sleep experts call a sleep deficit. And missing just a couple of hours every night for a week, that is more than enough to cause some very real harm. Now, you might be thinking, hey, I'm just a little tired, no big deal. But consider the hidden biological damage going on under the hood. A study in Turkey revealed that after just 24 hours of sleep deprivation, just one day, the natural killer cells in your blood, the ones that actually fight off viruses and even cancer, they drop by 37%. No way, right? Furthermore, sleep loss increases your C-reactive protein, which is a major indicator of heart disease risk, and it drastically raises your risk of glucose intolerance, acting almost like early onset diabetes. And all this exhaustion, it builds into an even more visible problem: obesity. Because when you don't sleep, your body's hormone regulation just goes completely haywire. Leptin, which is the hormone that suppresses your appetite, decreases. But at the exact same time, ghrelin, the hormone that controls your hunger pangs, spikes way up. Throw in an overproduction of the stress hormone cortisol, which increases fat storage, and your sleep-deprived body is essentially biologically programming you to overeat and store fat. We see the silent toll of this endless cycle most vividly in sectors like the BPO industry. Take Swaroop Chatterjee, a 28-year-old assistant manager who literally hasn't had more than 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night for 3 years. In these super high-pressure call centers, workers face intense surveillance through closed-circuit cameras, totally unrealistic targets, and a work environment that prevents them from even taking basic breaks. The result? Chronic fatigue, intense anxiety, and a whole host of physical ailments. We are, quite simply, working ourselves to the bone. Part 2. Laughter, the best medicine. Moving from the sheer exhaustion of modern work, let's explore a pretty surprising remedy. You know, we often think we need to feel happy to laugh, but what if the exact reverse is true? We actually stop laughing as we grow up due to a cultural LKK syndrome, or Lo Kya Kahange, meaning what will people say? Adults use a mind-to-body model, where the brain interferes, it judges the situation, and then, maybe allows a chuckle. But children, they use a body-to-mind model. They just laugh. Even if they fall flat in the mud, they completely bypass that intellectual judgment. To reclaim that pure, childlike joy, thousands of people are turning to laughter yoga. The motto of these clubs is just brilliant. If your mind can't laugh, bring your body to our club. By engaging in voluntary physical gestures like rhythmic clapping, deep breathing, and chanting ho ho ha ha in unison, they are completely bypassing the brain's judgment. This forced physical motion actually creates brand new neuronal connections in the brain, producing real happy hormones and helping people overcome chronic depression. It's a real game changer. And the benefits are multi-layered, extending way beyond just feeling good in the moment. Nobel laureate Dr. Otto Warburg noted that a main reason for sickness is actually a lack of oxygen in our cells due to shallow, stress-induced breathing. Laughter yoga rectifies this by forcefully drawing vital oxygen right back into the body. It boosts immunity, it lowers stress hormones, it eases anxiety, and it deeply bonds us with others. It is, quite literally, nature's free medicine. Part 3. The extremes of diet. So, we've talked about sleep and joy. But what happens when our relationship with consumption, specifically our food, goes to absolute extremes? 540 kilograms. It's a number that is honestly hard to even fathom. But this was the peak weight of Walter Hudson, a man who once held the Guinness World Record as the heaviest man on Earth. He called himself a foodaholic, admitting he simply had no excuse for a lifelong addiction to gorging that began at just 6 years old and left him bedridden by the age of 15. Walter's story is this unforgettable, incredibly tragic anecdote of modern excess. He consumed staggering amounts of food every single day. Just to put it in perspective, a typical breakfast for him was 2 pounds of bacon, 32 sausages, and a dozen eggs. The world actually learned of him back in 1987 when he became wedged in a doorway for 4 hours, requiring 8 firemen to free him. This crazy incident actually led comedian Dick Gregory to intervene, placing Walter on a 1,200-calorie raw fruit and orange juice diet. And while Walter did lose 178 kilograms initially, the lifelong damage was already done. He ultimately passed away weighing 508 kilograms. It's a very stark reminder of how extreme passivity and overconsumption can completely trap us. Part 4. Sports and Overcoming Adversity. Shifting gears from extreme passivity, let's look at an absolutely incredible rags-to-riches story. Meet Ashok Kumar. Born into a poor family in Bihar, Ashok was sent to Delhi as a boy where he worked as an errand boy, literally sleeping in the stables at night. But he became completely fascinated with golf, secretly practicing until he was caught and fired. He spent nights sleeping on the streets in Connaught Place, paying 5 rupees just to hire a winter blanket. But here's the thing, he didn't give up. He eventually returned to the course, became a caddy, was mentored by Asian Games gold medalist Amit Luthra, and fought his way all the way up to become India's #1 professional golfer in 2006. Interestingly, Ashok modeled his entire game on Tiger Woods, whom he actually met a decade earlier in Bangkok while caddying. He asked Tiger for advice, and Tiger looked at him and said, "Don't think of beating others, they should think of beating you." Ashok took this straight to heart. His story proves how sheer focus, relentless perseverance, and treating sport as a true discipline can completely transform a human life. Part 5. Nature's Original Pharmacy. If we zoom out a bit to look at the broader historical context of wellness, humanity's relationship with plant medicine has evolved dramatically over time. Thousands of years ago, ancient Egyptians were already extracting active ingredients to use aromatic oils for embalming. By the 5th century BC, the Greek father of medicine Hippocrates was recommending garlic as a diuretic and willow leaves to relieve pain. Through the Middle Ages, herbal medicine was this really strange blend of magic, superstition, and empirical observation. That is until Renaissance scientists finally pushed away the magical elixirs to focus on true, rigorous botanical study. And this empirical observation, it eventually gave us the world's most popular drug. Remember those willow leaves Hippocrates recommended for pain? Well, in 1828, a German pharmacist named Johann Buchner obtained a compound called salicin from willow bark. Then, in 1838, Raphael Puria refined it into salicylic acid. Fast forward to 1853, and Gerrit Hart synthesized a modified form of it, mainly because those early versions caused terrible stomach blisters. Finally, in 1899, a chemist named Felix Hoffmann, working for a company called Bayer, rediscovered it to help treat his father's arthritis. Bayer patented it, and boom, aspirin was born. From simple tree bark to 12,000 tons of medicine sold globally every single year. So, what is the crucial point to take away from all of this? Well, true holistic health isn't just one single thing. It is a deeply interconnected web. You have to respect your biology by getting enough sleep to keep your hormones and immunity in check. You need to bypass your brain's harsh judgment and laugh to bring oxygen and joy into your life. You must avoid the dangerous extremes of diet, push your physical boundaries through play and sport, and always respect the incredible healing power of the natural world around us. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and directly to you. We've seen the tragedy of ignoring our health and the incredible triumph of reclaiming it. The power to change is entirely in your hands right now, whether that means setting a slightly earlier bedtime, joining a local laughter club, or taking up a brand new sport. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. Which pillar of wellness will you rebuild today? Thanks so much for watching, and keep learning.